Throughout history, ordinary people, soldiers, and even fathers have crossed an invisible line where pain turned into something far more dangerous. What followed were deaths so brutal, so calculated, that the world still talks about them decades later. These are not movie plots. These are real moments when revenge overpowered reason and blood became the final answer. The village of Kamo was the kind of place where everyone knew the sound of everyone else's footsteps. Doors were rarely locked. Neighbors borrowed rice without asking. At night, the only noise was the wind moving through cedar trees. That illusion of safety ended just before dawn on May 21st, 1938. What happened in those dark hours would become known as the Tsuyama massacre, one of the most brutal acts of personal revenge ever recorded. And at the center of it was a 21-year-old man named Mutsuo Toi, a quiet farmer's son who had spent years sinking into bitterness, illness, and humiliation. Toi had not always been feared. As a child, he was described as intelligent, even gentle. But tuberculosis, an illness that carried enormous stigma in pre-war Japan, changed everything. The disease weakened his body and, in the eyes of the village, stained his future. Families who once greeted him warmly began to keep their distance. In a community built on reputation and marriage prospects, Toi became an outsider. Rumors spread that women avoided him, that neighbors whispered behind sliding doors. He wrote obsessively in notebooks about rejection, about being mocked, about how the village had decided his worth without trial. Those writings, discovered later, read less like diaries and more like indictments. Somewhere in that isolation, resentment hardened into something darker. Months before the massacre, strange things began to happen. Toi sold belongings, borrowed tools, and practiced moving through the hills at night. He studied the layout of homes, memorizing which families slept where. No one understood the pattern, only that the young man had become increasingly withdrawn. On the evening before the attack, the electricity to the village was deliberately cut. Darkness swallowed Kamo completely, leaving only moonlight and the faint glow of oil lamps. It was the perfect cover. Toi left his house dressed in black, his face wrapped in a headband like a soldier preparing for battle. He carried weapons gathered from years of planning. What he also carried, according to the notes found later, was a belief that he had been pushed to this moment by everyone around him. The first house was only a few steps away, then another, and another. Survivors would later describe hearing knocks at doors, familiar voices calling out, followed by sounds that did not belong in a peaceful farming village. Entire families were attacked before they fully understood who stood in their rooms. Toi moved with a chilling purpose from home to home, targeting people he believed had humiliated or rejected him. Some victims were neighbors he had known since childhood. Others were simply in the wrong place when he arrived. Even his grandmother, the woman who had raised him, was not spared. By the time the sun began to rise, 29 people were dead, and several more lay wounded. Kamo, once a quiet cluster of wooden houses, had become a landscape of shock and disbelief. As villagers fled into the fields, and authorities struggled to comprehend what was happening, Toi climbed into the surrounding hills. There, overlooking the community he felt had destroyed him, he ended his own life. Police later discovered detailed writings in his home, pages filled with anger towards specific individuals, lists of grievances, and chilling reflections on how revenge would restore his dignity. They were not the ramblings of madness alone, but the twisted logic of a man who believed he had been sentenced by society long before he picked up a weapon. The Tsuyama massacre shocked Japan in a way few crimes had. It forced a nation to confront uncomfortable questions. How much can rejection deform a human mind? How invisible can suffering become in small, close communities? And how did no one see the storm gathering in one lonely young man? Kamo was rebuilt. Houses were repaired. Families tried to continue. But the silence of that village was never the same. Even today, the event lingers in Japanese memory as a warning about isolation, stigma, and the terrifying direction revenge can take when it is allowed to grow unchecked in the dark. In a hospital hallway, security footage captures an eerie moment near the elevator. A ghostly figure appears to come through the closed elevator doors, moving silently before fading away. In an abandoned hospital, an eerie silence is broken when a nurse's bell suddenly goes off. The unexplained sound echoes through the empty halls, sending chills down the spine of those present. At Iam's hospital, a person records an eerie moment at the reception area. A ghostly figure of a young girl appears, peeking out from behind the counter before vanishing. A vehicle crashes directly into the emergency room entrance of a hospital in Austin, causing panic. Debris scatters as bystanders react, rushing to check on those inside. After their grandmother passes away in a hospital in Naples, Italy, the family bursts inside in a fit of rage.
Ospedale del Mare! Ospedale del Mare! La vergogna di Napoli! Ospedale del Mare! La vergogna di Napoli! La vergogna di Napoli! L'ospedale del Mare! Mio nonno è in uscita sabato!
They begin shouting and knocking over hospital equipment, creating chaos.
Condividete questo schifo! Condividete questo schifo! Si do scorni tutto Napoli, tutti i ospedali! Tenen una bella struttura, tenen! Tenen una bella struttura, sti burdaiuoli!
Staff and security struggle to contain the situation as destruction continues.
Succedono puttane! Andiamo a guardi! Andiamo a guardi! Mettete le scuole! Mettete le scuole! Allo sto primario! O primario, allo sto! Allo sto primario! O primario, allo sto! Allo sto primario! Allo sto primario! O primario, allo sto! No, no, voglio vedere!
An elderly man causes a disturbance in the hospital, drawing attention from staff and visitors. A security guard approaches to intervene, but the man aggressively squares up to him.
Right? You wanna have me? Yeah? You wanna have me? Come on, man. You wanna have me? You ready for that? You're trying. I have come here to look for my wife, and you have no. Why can't you give me your answer? I'm British, not a anyone like you, right? Don't talk to me like that.
A Marine veteran is confronted by officials at the hospital while visiting his daughter.
Give us the phone and we'll be done.
No, you're not getting the phone. You don't have a right to take the phone.
We do as part of the
No,
investigation.
you don't.
So
You're going to tase me because I'm not going to give you my wife's cell phone?
Well.
so that's why I want to take it out in the hallway.
Excuse me? So I'm going to go home.
As they attempt to arrest him, tensions rise, and he resists.
I don't want anybody behind you getting hurt. Okay. Nobody behind
Oh,
you
hold
getting
on, it's gentlemen, gentlemen.
Give me the cell phone!
Out of the room. Get out of the room. Get out of the room.
Officials tase him, bringing him to the ground as the situation escalates.
Go down! Go down! Go down! Hey! Go down!
Father! Father! Doing this, get on the ground.
Stop! Are you serious?
Stop. Put your hands behind your back.
Father!
Badge numbers now.
Father!
At a Chicago hospital, authorities arrest the mother of an accused cop killer in a tense situation.
Amonte Morgan, my son.
Okay, hold on. Was there a security guard?
I want to see my son.
Oh, hold on.
Monty! Monty! Don't touch me! Get away from me! Stop! Get away! Stop!
Officers surround her as she is taken into custody while bystanders look on.
Stop. Put your hands behind you.
Please let me see my son! Please let me see him! Okay?
Put your hands behind you. Put your hands behind you. Put your hands behind you. You're under arrest.
Okay? Just let me see my son, please!
But he changed his mind when he saw how angry Kudo's young son was, and he realized that if he didn't punish Goro, then the cycle of revenge would continue and there would be no peace.
Long before detectives, courtrooms, or written laws of evidence, Japan was ruled by something older and heavier than justice: honor. A man's worth was measured by loyalty to his bloodline, and an unpaid insult could echo across generations. The story of the Soga brothers Sukanari and Tokimune began not with swords in their hands, but with the murder of their father, Kawazu Sukeyasu, killed during a dispute among samurai clans. The man responsible was Kudo Suketsune, a powerful warrior protected by status and allies. To the boys, he was not just an enemy, he was the thief of their future. From childhood, they were raised on a single idea: the debt must one day be settled. The brothers did not speak openly of revenge, yet everyone around them understood. In feudal society, avenging a father was not madness, it was duty. Monks, relatives, even mentors reminded them that a son who ignored such a crime would live as half a man. Years passed. They trained with the bow and the sword. They learned patience, the most dangerous weapon of all. Suketsune, meanwhile, rose higher in the ranks, believing the past had faded. He could not have known that two boys were quietly shaping their entire lives around the moment they would meet him again. That moment arrived on June 28, 1193, during the Grand Fuji no Makigari hunting event hosted by Shogun Minamoto no Yoritomo. Hundreds of warriors filled the camps at the foot of Mount Fuji, fires burning, horses restless, sake flowing. Amid the celebration, the Soga brothers moved like shadows. They waited until darkness softened the vigilance of guards. Then, slipping through the maze of tents, they found Kudo Suketsune asleep. The strike was swift and decisive. With that single act, decades of anger were released. But revenge is rarely neat. The alarm spread instantly. Samurai rushed from every direction, and in the chaos several more men were cut down. What was meant to be a private settling of blood turned into a battlefield of confusion. Sukanari, the elder, fell during the fighting, surrounded by warriors loyal to Suketsune. Tokimun fought on, cutting a path through the camp until he was finally captured and brought before the shogun himself. The chronicles describe a tense silence as the young avenger stood in chains. He did not beg for mercy. Instead, he declared that he had fulfilled the sacred duty of a son. Yoritomo ordered his execution. With that, the Soga line effectively ended, but their names were only beginning to live. What might have been remembered as simple murder was transformed by storytellers into one of Japan's greatest epics. Plays, poems, and later kabuki dramas portrayed the brothers as tragic heroes, symbols of unwavering filial loyalty. Yet beneath the romance lies a darker question. Were they noble sons restoring balance, or young men taught that blood was the only language of justice? The tale survives because it sits uncomfortably between those two truths. More than 800 years later, the revenge of the Soga brothers is still taught, debated, and performed. It shaped the Japanese idea of katakyuchi, vendetta carried out in the name of family duty, and influenced how generations understood the thin line between righteousness and violence. The hunting fields of Fuji are peaceful now. Tourists walk where armored men once ran with drawn blades. But the story remains a reminder that long before laws decided guilt, the heart of revenge beat to a far older rhythm. And once that rhythm begins, history shows how difficult it is to stop. Video footage captures lights flickering over the windows at St. Alexis Hospital in STL, creating an eerie scene.
What the hell going on here?
The building is supposed to be empty, yet the lights continue to turn on and off mysteriously. A chilling video from a Chinese hospital shows what appears to be a spirit leaving a woman's lifeless body, captured by a CCTV camera. The faint, misty figure slowly floats upward before vanishing, leaving viewers stunned. Security footage from a hospital captures a strange, small figure moving around a man as he stands making a call. The man watches it closely, appearing unsure of what he is seeing as the figure continues moving around him. In the psych unit, a dimly lit hallway adds to the unsettling atmosphere.
Okay, there's nobody here, right? Nobody here. What is that? Because it is not me. This is me waving, closing the door. What is that?
A A strange, shadowy figure suddenly appears in the mirror, just standing there.
And here comes the door back opening. And nobody's there. But yet.
In a hospital ward, CCTV footage captures an eerie and unsettling scene. A ghost-like figure appears, slowly moving across the room before vanishing. While exploring an abandoned hospital, the group moves cautiously through the dark corridors.
Liebe Freunde des Paranormalen, das Team Ghost Contacts war am vergangenen Donnerstag erneut in der verlassenen Psychiatrie. Dort sind uns unfassbare Dinge geschehen.
They reach a doorway when, suddenly, the door begins to close on its own.
Du hast mich erschrocken.
Zeigst du dich bitte auf dem Foto?
Das wäre total nett.
As they shine a torch on the broken glass door, a face appears, staring back at them.
Schau mal, wie schwer die Tür geht.
Ghost sightings were reported at the Metropolitan State Mental Hospital, with eerie footage capturing a ghostly figure walking down the hallway.
We're done with the scene.
The figure appeared to glide rather than walk, disappearing into the darkness as the video continued. A young woman becomes irate and frantic in a crowded hospital emergency room, drawing attention from those around her.
You wanna act like you wanna piss me the fuck. You wanna get ahead and keep on. You wanna say something to me? Every day.
Security guards attempt to calm her down multiple times, but she refuses to cooperate.
Nothing. I went to White Prince Hospital because I got to without seeing me.
As they forcibly remove her, she resists and puts up a fight, escalating the situation.
No, she better send me to the doctor, but you better
A man armed with an AR-15 rifle enters a substance abuse treatment clinic in Buffalo, New York. He fires a shot at the wall, causing panic as people react to the gunfire. Security footage captures the tense moment as a man in the clinic quickly confronts him. The man successfully stops the shooter, with other people, even other authorities, joining in, preventing a potentially dangerous situation.
The Igagoy vendetta is a captivating tale of honor, revenge, and the complex social codes of the Edo period in Japan. Set in the town of Igagoy, the incident unfolded in 1634, a time of relative peace under the Tokugawa shogunate. The vendetta is known as one of the 3 major Adauchi vendetta incidents in Japan.
Long before modern penal systems existed, Japan's code of honor allowed and even legalized revenge under strict conditions. Known in Japanese as keitakuchi, this sanctioned retaliation was both a duty and a ritual for samurai whose relatives were murdered. When justice from authorities failed to answer personal loss, many samurai believed there was only one way to restore honor: revenge with steel in hand. One of the most infamous cases of such vendetta took place on November 7, 1634, in the town of Igagoy, involving Watanabe Kazuma and the man he held responsible for his brother's death. In 1630, Watanabe Kazuma's brother, Watanabe Gendeyu, was murdered by Kawai Matagoro, a man who killed his friend out of jealousy and fled justice. Formal attempts to capture Matagoro failed, and when the local authorities proved unable to legally punish the killer, Kazuma and his brother-in-law, Araki Matemon, took matters into their own hands. Within samurai culture, revenge was not merely a personal act of vengeance. It was a social expectation, deeply rooted in katakuchi, a ritual of retaliation that carried strict rules and required official permission from local magistrates. Under this code, a samurai seeking revenge had to register his intent, carry out the act in broad daylight, and face the consequences in front of witnesses. Otherwise, the deed became nothing less than murder. Kazuma and Matemon tracked Matagoro to Igago Pass near Igagoy, where they confronted him in broad daylight, obedient to both the spirit and the letter of katakuchi. In the ensuing clash, they killed Matagoro along with several of his retainers. The showdown was swift and dramatic, fulfilling the samurai's lifelong promise to avenge a murdered brother. Unlike many unauthorized revenge killings of the era, this vendetta was carried out within the accepted customs of the time. Because Kazuma had acted under the traditional katakuchi code, with intention, public visibility, and at a direct invitation to settle the blood debt, the act was considered honorable by many contemporaries, even as it remained an unmistakable act of violence. The Igagoy vendetta stands alongside other legendary acts of samurai revenge in Japanese history because it illustrates the complex intersection of law, honor, and personal justice. In a society where external legal systems were emerging but cultural expectations remained rooted in ancient codes, Kazuma's choice shows just how far a person could go to right a wrong not through judges or courts, but through steel and blood. It remains a reminder that in some eras and cultures, justice was not defined by rules in ink, but by the weight of a sword and the promise of a warrior. A woman is caught on video stealing a baby girl at a general hospital after gaining the mother's trust. She talks to the mother, who unknowingly hands her the baby before briefly stepping away. Seizing the opportunity, the woman quickly leaves the hospital with the baby. security man patrols a reportedly haunted hospital, walking through its dark, empty hallways.
Besides that alarm, I just heard some more sounds.
Strange noises echo around him, distant whispers, sudden thuds, and faint footsteps.
I don't know what it is, man, but this place is creepy.
He turns a corner and freezes as a hospital bed moves on its own, rolling slowly down the hall.
I want to get the out of here. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and look over here. Checking the rooms and dude, like.
In the dim light, eerie shadowy figures appear for brief moments before vanishing.
Yeah, dude, this shit, honestly, like. Alright guys, I'm at the empty floors. I was hearing some noise coming up right now. It's kind of freaking me out, so I'm gonna be filming a little bit. Seeing some what the
A strange video from a children's hospital in Argentina shows a balloon moving unnaturally through the hallway.
Cuando vine para acá, se me empezó a pegar, boludo. Me pegué un cagazo y ahora lo veo.
Entonces la estática, boludo. Pero está lejos.
Está viniendo para acá.
Ay, la concha de la lora. La pibita de la camarcita me dijo que le tocaron la pierna, que le apretaron la pierna.
It appears to be under the control of something unseen, changing direction without any visible force. Police body camera footage captures officers attempting to negotiate with a woman inside a hospital room.
Drop the gun!
Drop the gun right now!
Drop the gun!
Drop the gun!
You got any eyes, old stars?
What's that?
You got any eyes?
I can't see. The
She's sitting right behind the bed.
Yeah, she's on the other side of the bed. Oh, I think
It's a black revolver.
I said a visitor. Drop the gun!
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Authorities say she had just shot and killed her terminally ill husband.
Yes. You want to crack this open with this? Can you open it from the outside?
Yes. Drop the gun!
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. We got time. Back up. We got time. We got nothing but time, guys. Can we evacuate some patients from the adjoining rooms? Can we do that or no?
Drop the gun, man!
I got a good angle right here.
Drop the gun!
Officers work to de-escalate the situation as she remains inside the room.
Just talk to me. Talk to me. What's going on? Why can't you drop the gun? Why can't you drop the gun?
CCTV footage from a hospital ward at night shows a quiet and eerie atmosphere. After receiving a phone call, the security man leaves the CCTV room.
Hello?
In another CCTV frame, the camera flickers before a ghostly figure moves across the room. In an Argentinian hospital, security footage captures a mysterious event at the entrance. The security man watches in shock as the door suddenly opens by itself with no one there. In a hospital corridor, a person records an empty wheelchair sitting motionless in the dim light. After remaining still for a while, the wheelchair suddenly begins to move faintly on its own.
The claim came for the peacekeeping, but later diverted from the road they came to play and almost destroyed the whole of General Malu's house and other places.
The first report sounded unbelievable. In the dusty farming towns of Benue State, people began whispering that soldiers were coming, not to protect, not to patrol, but to punish. No one knew how far that punishment would go. By the time the rumors hardened into reality, it was already too late. What unfolded in October 2001 would become known as the Zaki Biam massacre, one of the darkest episodes in Nigeria's modern history. A campaign of revenge carried out not by criminals or militants, but by the very army sworn to defend its citizens. Days earlier, 19 Nigerian soldiers had disappeared while on a mission in Tiv territory. When their bodies were later discovered, mutilated and dumped, the military command concluded that local militias were responsible. Anger swept through the barracks. Radio chatter spoke of vengeance, of teaching the Tiv people a lesson they would never forget. But there was no investigation, no arrests, no attempt to separate the guilty from the innocent. Instead, entire communities were marked as targets. Witnesses remember the sound before they remember the sight, the heavy grind of military trucks, the thud of helicopter blades cutting the hot afternoon air. Soldiers arrived in long convoys, faces hidden behind dark glasses and helmets, weapons already raised. In villages like Zaki Biam, Gbeji, Vase, Anyin, and Kiado, people were ordered out of their homes. Some thought it was another routine security operation. Others sensed something far worse. Then the shooting began. Houses were set ablaze one after another. Markets, where women sold yams and peppers, became killing grounds. Elderly men who could barely walk were accused of harboring militants. Children ran toward the bush as bullets chased them. Survivors later said the soldiers did not ask questions. They did not search for specific suspects. They treated the entire population as the enemy. Over several days, the operation spread like a storm across Benue. Heavy machine guns, grenades, and armored vehicles were used against communities that had no means of defense. Churches and clinics, places normally considered sanctuaries, were not spared. By the time the troops withdrew, more than 200 civilians were believed to be dead. Some local groups insisted the real number was far higher. Bodies were buried in hurried mass graves, others were never found at all. The official explanation was simple: retaliation for murdered soldiers. But the victims were farmers, traders, schoolchildren, people with no connection to the original crime. Revenge had become policy. When journalists finally reached the area, they found towns that looked abandoned by history. Burnt roofs sagged toward the earth. Dogs wandered through empty compounds. The smell of smoke still clung to the walls weeks later. The federal government issued an apology and promised investigations. Committees were formed, statements were made, compensation was discussed. Yet no commander was ever convicted. No soldier ever stood in a civilian court. For many families, the massacre became a wound with no courtroom, no verdict, and no grave they could visit with certainty. More than 2 decades later, the Zaki Biam massacre remains wrapped in suspicion. Who gave the order to treat entire villages as combatants? Why were negotiations never attempted? How did a professional army slide so quickly from security operation to collective punishment? In Benue, elders say the real tragedy was not only the deaths, but the message left behind. That in moments of anger, power can erase the line between justice and slaughter. The roads are busy again now. Markets have reopened. Children born after 2001 walk past rebuilt houses without knowing what once stood there. But those who survived still lower their voices when helicopters pass overhead. In an abandoned maternity hospital known for its dark history, a video captures a creepy atmosphere. As the camera moves through the decayed hallways, an unsettling silence fills the air. Suddenly, a strange shadow or ghostly figure appears in the corner of the room. A chilling recording captures eerie demon-like voices echoing through the dimly lit hallway of Devon Hospital. The unsettling sounds grow louder, seeming to move further down the corridor. Police body camera footage shows a large weapon cache already on display inside Hudson Regional Hospital in Secaucus. Officers examine the seized firearms, which were discovered during a bomb threat response that turned out to be unfounded. At the hospital, security officers hear strange noises coming from the hallway and decide to investigate.
And it's on. Is that your horse?
As they approach, they discover a toy horse making noises on its own, with no one around.
Do you like playing with the horse? Is that your horse? Do you like playing with the horse? I feel like this is like a child's spirit in this room. And it oddly got actually cold.
A ghostly figure is captured on video moving around a hospital room, creating an eerie scene. The figure appears to drift silently, vanishing and reappearing in different spots. Chaos unfolds as criminals take over Chone Hospital, holding hostages inside. Authorities surround the building while frightened staff and patients remain trapped. Tension rises as negotiations or possible intervention efforts begin. The camera was already rolling. It was meant to capture something routine. Police escorting a prisoner through Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Reporters expected a few seconds of ordinary footage. Handcuffs, a lowered head, another criminal heading toward justice. Instead, the nation watched a father step out of the crowd and change everything in a single motion. Weeks earlier, 11-year-old Jeffrey Jody Plauche had vanished from his neighborhood. The man responsible was Jeff Duce, a karate instructor and family acquaintance who had gained the boy's trust over time. What followed was a nightmare of kidnapping and abuse that stretched across state lines before authorities finally located them in California. When Jody was rescued, the truth came out in fragments, too painful for headlines, yet impossible to hide. The Plauche family learned what had been done to their child, and with that knowledge came a rage no courtroom could easily contain. Gary Plauche, Jody's father, spoke little in public. Friends later said he seemed calm on the surface, but inside he was unraveling, torn between relief that his son was alive and fury at the man who had stolen his innocence. On March 16, 1984, Duce was flown back to Louisiana to face charges. Television crews gathered in the airport corridor, waiting to film the transfer. Officers walked the prisoner forward, hands cuffed behind his back, unaware that someone else was waiting too. Gary Plauche stood by a payphone, baseball cap pulled low, pretending to make a call. The camera caught everything: the casual posture, the sudden turn, the flash of movement. One shot, a brief echo against the tile walls. Doucet collapsed to the floor as stunned officers wrestled the gun from the father's hand. Viewers at home saw it unfold in real time, unedited, before broadcasters even understood what they were airing. In that instant, the line between victim and criminal blurred for millions of Americans. The killing ignited an argument that has never truly ended. Some called Gary Plauche a murderer who undermined the rule of law. Others saw a desperate father doing what the system could never fully do, protecting his child and preventing future harm. Letters poured into newspapers praising him as a hero. Talk shows debated whether any parent in his position would have acted differently. In court, the legal outcome reflected that tension. Plauche faced serious charges, yet the sentence was unexpectedly light: probation, community service, and a suspended term. The judge cited extreme emotional disturbance. Many believed the unspoken verdict had already been delivered by public opinion. Lost beneath the headlines was the quiet reality that followed. Jody Plauche still had to grow up carrying trauma that no single bullet could erase. Gary had to live not only with what Duce had done, but with what he himself had chosen to do in response. Years later, father and son spoke publicly about healing, forgiveness, and the complicated truth that revenge rarely feels like victory once the adrenaline fades. The video remains one of the most replayed moments in American crime history. Not because it is sensational, but because it forces a question with no comfortable answer. When justice fails a child, does a father become a criminal or something far more tragic? The Plauche case reshaped conversations about vigilantism, victims' rights, and the limits of the legal system. Law schools still analyze it. Psychologists still debate the breaking point of parental instinct. The footage, grainy and brief, continues to circulate as a mirror held up to society's conflicting beliefs about punishment and mercy. What happened in that airport corridor lasted only seconds. The argument it created has lasted decades.